How many times have you waited for someone to call, only to realize they were never really waiting for you? How many times have you put yourself last, hoping someone else would see your worth? Listen carefully, because today you will learn the most important truth of your life. You are not an option, you are the priority. And if no one sees it, it's not your job to remind them. It's your job to rise, shine, and focus on yourself. My dear, listen carefully, because this is one of the most important truths you will ever hear. You are not a backup plan. Not now, not ever. You are not the person someone turns to when they have nothing better, or when they are bored, or when the timing feels convenient. You are the main event, the headline of your own story, the one the universe designed to shine brightly, not dimly. And yet, so many of us live our lives waiting in the wings, hoping someone, anyone, will finally notice our worth. Let me tell you, if they haven't seen it yet, it is not your job to make them. It is your job to rise anyway. Think about the young woman who stays in a friendship where she is always the listener, always the shoulder, always the one showing up. But no one remembers her birthday. No one asks how she's really doing. She thinks, maybe one day they will notice. Maybe one day I will matter more. But my dear, every moment spent waiting is a moment stolen from your destiny. When you give yourself last place in someone else's schedule, you are telling the world that your brilliance can wait, and it cannot. Or consider the student who works tirelessly on their dream project, who constantly checks their phone for a mentor's approval, hoping for recognition that may never come. They spend nights perfecting a piece of art or a business idea, yet the applause they crave is elsewhere. And while it is natural to desire validation, you must remember, your worth is not dependent on someone else's attention. You are not a draft waiting to be chosen. You are the finished masterpiece. The applause will follow when it is time, but you do not need it to prove your value. Let's look at relationships, for instance. How many times have you been the person who rearranged their life for someone who had no intention of rearranging theirs? You stayed late to listen to their troubles. You forgave their repeated mistakes. You waited for their affection. And all the while you told yourself, maybe tomorrow they will see me, but tomorrow is never guaranteed, and waiting for someone who treats you like a choice is a slow, painful erosion of your spirit. My dear, love is not a commodity to be rationed. It is not something that is given only after proving your worth. Love begins with you, and your time, your heart, your energy are sacred. You are not a substitute for someone else's hesitation. You are not an option. They must recognize that, or they will fade, and that is not your failure. Think about the professional who constantly says yes to tasks that aren't theirs to prove their dedication, hoping the boss will eventually notice and reward them. They burn themselves out, sacrificing their health, their weekends, their peace of mind, thinking, maybe one day I will be appreciated. But appreciation forced by self-neglect is empty. You are not a placeholder in someone else's success story. You are the author of your own. When you focus on yourself, your skills, your growth, the recognition will follow naturally. But you must first respect the value of your presence. Consider the parent who sacrifices everything for children, family, or partner, and yet receives little gratitude. They think, I will continue to give even if no one sees, because love is enough. And while love is noble, you must never let the world convince you that being overlooked defines your worth. Even in giving, there is a sacred space where you honor yourself first. You are not here to be the backup for someone else's life. You are here to live fully and to show those around you that your time, your love, your presence is a treasure, not a convenience. Look at the dreamer who waits for permission. They hold back their voice, their creativity, their courage, thinking, if only they would give me a chance, I could prove myself. But my dear, the world has no authority over your destiny. You are not an alternative. You are the original. You are meant to act, to create, to shine without asking for approval. History is filled with those who were ignored, dismissed, and overlooked. Yet they persisted because they understood that being someone's afterthought could never diminish their value. Your brilliance is not optional. Even in everyday moments you see it, the friend who always initiates contact, the partner who waits for messages, the colleague who always volunteers. And when the response is lukewarm, delayed, or absent, they begin to internalize the belief that maybe they are not enough. But I am here to tell you that enough is not measured by how others treat you. Enough is inherent in your being. You are not a backup plan. You are not a convenience. You are the standard, the bar, the gift to yourself first and foremost. So, my dear, do not shrink yourself to fit someone else's uncertainty. Do not dim your light because someone else refuses to see it. Every day you honor yourself. Every choice you make to rise above waiting, every act of self-love is a declaration, I am not an option. I am not a placeholder. I am a force. I am a life meant to be lived fully, unapologetically, and with a radiant, undeniable presence. And when you embrace that truth, you will notice a shift in the world around you. People will either step up or fade away, but it will no longer matter because you have already claimed the main stage of your life. Listen closely, my dear, because this is a truth that can change the very course of your life. You must love yourself first. Not tomorrow, not when they notice you, not when the world finally gives you permission, but right now, in this moment. Love yourself as fiercely as you would love your dearest friend, your child, or the one you cherish most. It is not selfish, it is not pride, it is the foundation upon which your entire life is built. Without it, everything else is fragile, fleeting, and easily broken. Consider the young woman who constantly looks for validation from her peers. She dresses a certain way, speaks a certain way, laughs when she doesn't feel like it just to fit in. And every night she goes to bed wondering, am I enough? But my dear, you were born enough. You were created with a soul so vast, so brilliant, that it cannot be measured by someone else's approval. Loving yourself first means waking up each morning and acknowledging that your existence is sacred, that your dreams matter, that your voice deserves to be heard. Think of the student who spends hours buried in books, trying to meet everyone else's expectations, hoping for recognition from parents, teachers, or friends. They push themselves beyond exhaustion, believing that achievement is only meaningful if it brings someone else's praise. Yet in all this striving, they forget the one person who needs their attention the most, themselves. Loving yourself first means taking care of your body when it aches, resting when your mind is weary, and giving yourself permission to celebrate even the small victories without waiting for applause. Look at the employee who stays late every night, overcommitting, overperforming, hoping that their boss will notice their dedication. They think, if I work hard enough, if I give enough, they will finally see me. And while diligence is noble, self-love demands balance. It asks you to honor your time, your health, your spirit. You cannot pour from an empty cup, and no amount of external approval can replace the warmth and care you give to your own heart. Loving yourself first is the act of filling your own well so that everything else flows freely, without desperation or fear. Consider the person who repeatedly enters relationships that drain them emotionally, spiritually, or mentally. They sacrifice themselves for love, believing that giving everything will secure affection in return. But my dear, the truth is, you cannot give what you do not possess. Loving yourself first means recognizing that your happiness is not contingent on someone else's presence. It means setting boundaries, saying no when it is necessary, and walking away from anyone or anything that diminishes your worth. It means being the person you have always longed to meet in another. Even in the simplest moments of daily life, self-love is revolutionary. It is in choosing to spend a Saturday reading instead of scrolling endlessly through social media, in saying yes to your passions even when others mock them, in treating yourself to a warm meal or a quiet walk because your soul deserves nourishment. Loving yourself first is not grandiose, it is the quiet, persistent acknowledgement that you matter. That your voice matters, that your dreams matter, that you are worthy of time, care, and respect simply because you exist. Imagine the artist who doubts their talent because their work isn't celebrated yet. They hesitate to share their creations, fearing judgment. Loving yourself first means that you acknowledge the brilliance of your own expression before anyone else does. It means that your worth is not determined by likes, applause, or contracts, but by the authenticity and love you pour into your craft. When you love yourself first, every brushstroke, every word, every note becomes a celebration of the soul, and the world can only follow in awe. Think about parents, often sacrificing their own needs endlessly for the children they love. While dedication is noble, loving yourself first ensures that your children grow up witnessing a model of respect, care, and self-worth. It shows them that to be whole, one must honor oneself. It teaches them that self-respect is not selfishness, but a sacred act of survival and growth. Even in friendships, loving yourself first means choosing companions who honor your presence rather than deplete it. It means not bending endlessly to be liked, not compromising your values to belong. Loving yourself first creates a magnetic energy, a gravity that attracts those who see your worth and repels those who seek to diminish it. It is the quiet power of being unapologetically you, and it is transformative. So, my dear, loving yourself first is not a one-time decision. It is a lifetime practice. It is waking up each morning and affirming your value. It is speaking kindly to yourself when the world is harsh. It is choosing joy, peace and growth even when it feels impossible. It is daring to put yourself at the center of your own life, not as an act of arrogance, but as an act of courage. Every step you take in self-love reverberates into every corner of your existence, shaping the life you were always meant to live. My dear, there is one truth that I want you to understand. With every fiber of your being, your time is sacred. Every single second, every minute, every hour that passes belongs to you, and it is your most valuable possession. Yet how often do we give it away carelessly, hoping that someone else will use it more wisely, more meaningfully, more appreciatively? The truth is, no one else can live your minutes for you. No one else can feel your heartbeat in the moments you waste, and no one else can reclaim what you give away freely. When you understand the power of your own time, you begin to see the world differently, and you begin to honor yourself in ways that will forever change your life. Consider the young professional who spends hours in endless meetings that serve no purpose, nodding along politely, agreeing to tasks that drain them, hoping for recognition from superiors who barely notice their presence. They leave the office exhausted, with little energy left for their own dreams. But my dear, every hour you spend fulfilling someone else's agenda at the cost of your own vision is a moment lost from your destiny. Your time is not a currency to be spent on those who cannot recognize your worth. It is a sacred resource, and it demands respect first from yourself. Think of the parent who wakes before dawn, juggling work, chores, children's needs, and extended family obligations, rarely taking a moment to breathe, to rest, to reflect. They are constantly giving, constantly doing, constantly serving, and yet, my dear, to honor your time is not an act of selfishness. It is an act of preservation. It is telling the world and yourself that your life, your health, your dreams are equally important. When you prioritize your own time, you teach others the value of their own moments, and you create space to live fully, not just survive endlessly. Consider the friend who is always available, who drops everything to answer calls, to provide advice, to console someone else, and yet feels invisible when the same support is needed in return. They tell themselves, "I'll make time for them, they are important." And while kindness is noble, there is wisdom in understanding that your time is finite and sacred. It is not a vessel to be drained by those who do not respect it. It is a gift meant to be invested in people, work, and experiences that elevate you, that nurture your soul, that move you closer to the life you are meant to live. Even in moments of romantic relationships, time is sacred. How many times have you rearranged your schedule, sacrificed your peace, and stayed up waiting for someone who could not value your presence? You thought, if I just give them this, maybe they will love me. But love that asks you to diminish your time is not love, it is a distraction. When you honor your own time, you create boundaries that protect your heart and mind, and you open the door to relationships that are reciprocal, meaningful, and nourishing. Consider the student who spends hours studying, working part-time jobs, and attending endless extracurricular activities, always trying to please everyone, teachers, parents, friends, while barely having a moment to sit quietly with their own thoughts. They are caught in a cycle of obligation, believing that constant motion equals progress. But my dear, progress is measured not by how busy you are, but by how intentionally you use your moments. Every hour spent without intention is a whisper lost to the wind. Your time is sacred, and you must choose carefully how and with whom you share it. Even the simplest daily choices reflect the sacredness of time. Choosing to read a book instead of scrolling endlessly through a phone, choosing to meditate or walk instead of succumbing to distractions, choosing to have meaningful conversations instead of idle chatter. All of these are acts of honoring your time. Each moment that you live consciously, you reclaim power over your life. You shift from being a passive passenger in your days to being the author of your story, the conductor of your own symphony. Consider the entrepreneur who spends years working tirelessly on projects that do not align with their vision, hoping to impress others or follow trends. They are burning their most precious resource, their time, on pursuits that leave their soul empty. But when they begin to honor their time, when they focus on meaningful goals and opportunities that align with their purpose, they unlock a power and productivity that cannot be manufactured. Time, once sacred, becomes the soil in which dreams grow, the canvas on which life paints its masterpiece. Even in relationships with strangers, in fleeting encounters, your time holds value. Do not allow gossip, negativity, or unnecessary conflict to steal hours from your life. Guard your minutes as you would guard gold. For each second wasted is a second that cannot be retrieved, a second that could have been spent creating, healing, learning, or loving yourself. Your time is sacred, my dear, and when you finally live as though every moment matters, the world begins to honor you in ways that mere words cannot describe. Listen closely, my dear, because this is a lesson that can transform your life. You have the right to set boundaries, and you do not owe anyone an apology for protecting your peace. Boundaries are not walls built to keep others out. They are lines drawn in honor of yourself, a declaration that your time, your energy, and your heart are sacred. Yet so often we hesitate. We feel guilty for saying no. We feel selfish for prioritizing ourselves. We fear that setting limits will make us unloved or abandoned. But my dear, the truth is, loving yourself enough to create boundaries is one of the bravest, most necessary acts you will ever commit. Consider the young professional who constantly says yes to overtime, to extra projects, to social obligations at the office, believing that agreement equals value. They sacrifice their evenings, their weekends, and their rest, thinking, if I refuse, I will be seen as weak or unhelpful. And yet, my dear, saying no does not diminish your worth. It declares that you value your health, your family, your rest, your own dreams. Boundaries are not rejection, they are self-respect, and self-respect is magnetic, powerful, and undeniable. Think of the parent who never takes a break, who cancels personal plans to tend to every need of their children, spouse, or extended family. They tell themselves, I am responsible for everyone's happiness, and yet they feel empty, exhausted, and unseen. My dear, boundaries are not betrayal. Saying, I need an hour to breathe or I need to rest today is not selfishness. It is teaching those around you that their needs are important, yes, but so are yours. When you honor your limits, you model a life of balance, strength, and dignity. Consider the friend who is always available, always the listener, always the problem solver, yet finds themselves drained and resentful. They fear setting limits because they do not want to hurt anyone's feelings. But my dear, empathy without boundaries is a double-edged sword. It leaves you vulnerable to being used, taken for granted and forgotten. When you say, I cannot talk right now, I need space, or I cannot help at this moment, I need to focus on myself, you are not being cruel, you are being wise. You are honoring your own energy, which is the very thing that allows you to give fully when it truly matters. Think about the romantic partner who compromises endlessly, who tolerates disrespect or neglect, all in the hope of keeping the relationship intact. They fear that boundaries will drive the other person away. My dear, boundaries do not push away the right people. They filter out those who cannot treat you with the dignity, respect, and care you deserve. By setting limits, you teach others how to treat you, and you protect your heart from unnecessary pain. Love that respects boundaries is love that lasts, and love that ignores them is love that must be released. Even in everyday moments, boundaries are transformative. Choosing not to answer a call during your quiet time, politely excusing yourself from a group conversation that drains you, declining invitations that do not align with your priorities, these small acts of self-respect ripple into every aspect of your life. Each time you say yes to yourself, each time you honor your limits, you reclaim power that has been quietly eroded by people or circumstances that do not serve your highest good. Consider the employee who constantly handles others' workloads because they fear confrontation, believing, if I speak up, I will be disliked. And yet, my dear, asserting a limit is not confrontation, it is clarity. Saying, I can take this on next week or I am at capacity right now does not make you less competent or less valuable. It makes you human. It makes you someone who knows their worth, someone who cannot be drained by obligation, someone who leads their life with intention. Even children need boundaries. And adults who forget this principle often struggle. Imagine a teenager who constantly interrupts your work, a colleague who constantly asks for favors, a friend who oversteps your privacy. You might feel guilt, fear, or discomfort in saying, "I need space," but boundaries are the invisible armor that protects your mental and emotional well-being. They are not a sign of weakness, but a mark of courage. They declare to the world and to yourself, "My time, my energy, my heart are sacred, and I will guard them fiercely." And my dear, boundaries are not static, they evolve. You may allow someone closer today and limit their access tomorrow. You may forgive but still protect yourself. You may love but not at the expense of your dignity. This fluidity is not inconsistency, it is wisdom. It is the conscious act of living in alignment with your soul. It is the ultimate form of self-love because it acknowledges that your needs, your values, your life are worth protecting every single day. Setting boundaries without guilt is a radical act. In a world that constantly demands your attention, your compliance, your energy, it is saying to yourself, "I matter. My peace matters, my dreams matter, my heart matters." And my dear, once you embrace this truth, you will notice a remarkable shift. People who respect you will rise to meet your standards. Those who cannot will quietly drift away. And you will move through life lighter, stronger, and more radiant than ever before. You will finally understand that boundaries are not about exclusion. They are about inclusion, including yourself in the circle of care, respect, and love that you have longed for. So now, my dear, as we come to the moment of reflection, hear me clearly. Your life is not a rehearsal. It is not a draft waiting for someone else's approval, nor is it a stage where you perform only to be noticed by those who barely see you. You are not here to wait, to beg, to plead, or to shrink yourself for anyone. You are here to rise, to shine, to claim every bit of joy, every ounce of power, every second of your precious time. Life is fleeting, my dear. And every heartbeat is a reminder that you cannot afford to give your energy to those who do not honor it. Imagine the sun, rising each morning without apology, giving its light freely, touching every corner of the world without asking permission. That is how you are meant to live. Let your presence be undeniable. Let your dreams be unapologetic. Let your love, first for yourself and then for the world, be your guiding force. There will always be those who doubt, those who question, those who try to dim your brilliance. But remember, stars shine most brightly in the darkest skies. Your light is not optional. It is inevitable. And the world will adjust, the world will notice, the world will learn to rise with you, or it will fall behind. Do not fear solitude, for it is in silence and in reflection that the deepest truths of your soul are revealed. Do not fear rejection, for it is merely a compass pointing you toward where you truly belong. Do not fear the unknown, for within it lies the potential of every dream you have ever dared to imagine. You are stronger than your fears, braver than your doubts, wiser than your regrets. Each challenge you face is not a barrier, but a stepping stone. Each heartbreak not an end, but a beginning. Each setback not a punishment, but a lesson designed to shape the masterpiece that is your life. Rise above the voices that tell you to settle, to compromise, to shrink. Rise above the opinions that attempt to confine you to someone else's measure of worth. Rise above the past that tries to define your future. My dear, you are not defined by what has happened to you, by who ignored you, by who left you waiting. You are defined by the choices you make today, by the courage you summon this moment, by the love you show yourself now. Do not chase validation, create it within yourself. Do not seek permission, grant it to yourself. Do not wait for someone else to give you value. Claim it, own it, live it. Every step you take in self-respect, every moment you honor your time, every boundary you set without guilt, every dream you pursue relentlessly, every act of self-love, it compounds, it multiplies, it transforms your world. You are the architect of your destiny, the keeper of your peace, the author of your story, the hero of your own life. So rise, my dear, and rise unapologetically. Stand tall in your power, unshaken by the doubts of others. Walk boldly on the path of your purpose, knowing that the universe conspires with those who honor themselves. Speak your truth, love your soul, nurture your dreams, and carry yourself with the unwavering knowledge that you are not an option. You are a priority, a masterpiece, a force of nature, and when the world attempts to dim your light, when voices tell you you are too much, too bold, too independent, remember this: stars do not apologize for shining, rivers do not apologize for flowing, mountains do not apologize for rising. Neither should you. You are meant to be seen, to be heard, to be celebrated, and most importantly, to be loved. By yourself first, and then by the world that finally catches up to your brilliance. So rise with courage, rise with grace, rise knowing that your life, your dreams, your heart and your time are sacred. You are the author, the artist, the light, the miracle of your own existence. And from this moment forward, let nothing and no one convince you otherwise.